So today the topic which we are going to cover is enhancement of a standard data source. Okay, so what exactly this enhancement of a standard data source means? SAP provides many standard data sources for us. Okay, for our different requirements. Second. Okay, SAP provides many standard data sources for our normal general requirements, but the fields coming from this data source are not enough, and we want to add few more fields to this data source. Then that is called as enhancement to the standard data source. Okay, means we are going to change the SAP given standard data sources. Okay, so how we can do it, in a R3 or S4 system, we will see. So currently the system which I am using here is the S4 system. Okay, and the example which I am going to take now for the enhancement is this one, sales document header. Okay, so the sales document header data source I will take, and I will show you how to do it from scratch. Okay, so in order to perform the data source enhancement, okay, what was the first thing? There is a place in SAP, how to say this one? Yeah. Okay, so let's take this data source and first see whether this data source is working fine or not. Then we will try to enhance this existing data source. Okay, standard one. I went to the T code called LBWE, LO logistic data sources. Okay, or else I no need to take the logistic data sources. So even master data also we can do enhancement. Okay, so first take that one, then we will come to this one. So what is a master data source? Okay, if I go to slash n RSA3, zero material ATTR, zero material underscore ATTR is one of the standard data source. Okay, not defined in the source system. So let's go to slash n RSA5. Oh, so, okay. So I taken this new system. You see here, when I go to RSA5, I don't have the application component tree itself. So in this case, I'm going to go RSA9. Okay. If you go to slash in RSA9, what will happen? It will tell you, do you want to content application transfer hierarchy? Click on S button. It will ask for TR, local object, save it in local object. Then what happens, it will generate the standard application component tree. Sorry, cancel. Now go to slash in RSF5. Mostly you can see now the application component tree. You see, earlier it was not there, but after pressing RSA9, it came. Okay. Now from here, what I need to do, I need to look for my data source. So first expand this application hierarchy, this one. Now search for the data source, what we are expecting. So I am looking for zero material ATTR data source. Okay, so how to get this zero material? Go to search button, zero material underscore ATTR. Okay, search for the data source. Go to activate data source. So when I click on activate data source, what happens here? Let's wait. So yeah, it is activating. Yeah, I'm saving in local package. If you want, you can provide the package name and save it in the TR. Okay, so data source got activated. Now all the activated data sources will be available in slash in RSA6. Okay, now I am going to RSA6, expand my tree, and then set looking for my data source. Yeah, I found my data source. So if any data source is available in RSA6, then it means it is in active state. So you can go to once edit here. Yeah, just click on save because we don't want to do any changes here. Next. So the next part here is we want to check whether this data source is working fine or is it extracting some data or not. When you go to this, when you given this data source name and press enter, and when you see some fields populating like this here below on the selection screen, it means it is working as expected. Okay, most of the data source have some selection screen. Okay, now I'm clicking on extraction to see data is coming or not. Okay, as this extraction is running first time here, you see 6 records came. At least fine. This data source is working and it is bringing some data from the backend. Because of no data available in the backend master tables, it is not coming. But at least the data source which we taken is working and it is have some data. Now let's see this scenario how to enhance this data source. Okay, so to enhance this data source, what was our requirement? We wish to enhance this data source with some extra field. So what will be that extra field? If I go to ALV grid display, whatever data we are getting into this data source, I know this is as this was a standard master data source, it is bringing data from the table called Mara table. Okay, if I go to Mara table, go to display, all the fields whatever I can see here, all these fields are coming into the data source. Okay, so what else extra I can derive here? So this is the material. Most of it fields it is giving already. Think this one. So what I am going to enhance, so currently this Mara, it will provide, this data source provides all the fields from the Mara. Just to show you how to enhance this data source, I am taking a generic scenario where now I want to enhance this data source with the text of the material. Because for text, SAP given a separate data source. We have a material text attribute data source is material text data source is there. We can use that one. But what we can do, we can enhance our existing data source with the text column also. A simple example for us to understand. Okay, as this particular data source doesn't having the text column included, I am going to include the text field into this data source. Just a second. So yeah, we have many other fields available here. I'm bringing all fields to the right hand side. So why I'm bringing, just I want to see is it text already available in this data source or not. Okay, you see text is not available. So where I can find the material text information? Material text information I can find in the table MAKT. Okay, if I go to MAKT table, display contents, then I can see, this is the table for MAKT. If I go for display contents, you see there is data. The display whatever it is coming showing here is called ALV display. It is not I am not happy with this format, so SC standard list format, sorry, not a ALV list format, so I need to change to ALV grid display. Why I will go to ALV grid display? This will be nicer appearance and we can do many options on top of it. Okay, so these are the descriptions for this material. Okay, now my requirement is to enhance the existing material attribute data source with the extra column of where it can provide the description of the material. Okay, so how to enhance this data source? Let's see. Okay, so we need to follow some sequence of steps in order to perform this. Okay, if you follow these steps, it will be easy for you to do this one. So what are the steps? First one is go to RSA2 and add append structure. Okay, so you need to go to RSA2 and add append structure. So let's go now to RSA2 /o RSA2. Okay, I'm going to RSA2 and I'm providing the data source. I want to enhance material attribute data source. So I'm going here and going to display button. Okay, so after going to display button, go to extraction tab. In the extractions tab, we have extract structure is there. Double click on the extract structure. So here this is the extract structure. It means this is the data source output structure. Okay. So whenever you create a data source, so the extract structure represents the output structure of your data source. Now for this extract structure, we are going to create an append structure. Okay. Click on append structure and try to create one append, one new structure here. Create append. Click on this create append button. G Mara underscore text. Okay, I'm giving the append structure name as like this. Mara material description. I'm giving some name to this table. So you can also create your own append structure and provide name while creating. So for example, you are trying to bring data from a different table here, then append structure from appending fields from table, something like that. You can give the short description. So in this append structure, I need to provide the columns which I want to enhance. So currently I want to enhance the description column. So I will go to MAKT table. Description column is nothing but these two columns, right? So I will go to this MAKT table and I will take the information of these columns. So MAKT, this is the column. So important point to remember here is whenever you are enhancing a data source with the extra fields, the field names must starts with GG, okay, followed by your whatever name of the column you want to give, but must prefix with a GG, important. Okay, and then a domain you can, because this you are enhancing field from this table, so it's easy way, come to this table, take the column exact name, after GG provide the column name, and similarly take the data element from this table, provide the data element here. Okay, similarly I am going to take this one also, GG, and then if a column name, and so this is material description uppercase for matches. These two I enhance, so added. So my requirement is to enhance these two columns, so I added these two columns to my append structure and then activating. So adding the append structure is completed. So what exactly happens when we create the append structure? So append structure itself, it is representing, right? So it is appending to one of the existing one. Okay. So if you go to this main structure, now whatever you appended here, you can see that structure at the end of this, enhanced structure. You see extract structure. So these are the two fields which we added currently to this main, because it is not possible to change the standard extract structure directly. We are appending a new structure to it. Okay, it is not correct you to try to edit the direct extract structure. Never do it. Always add append structure and add your columns to this structure. So once adding this append structure is completed, so what next we need to do? So go to RSA2 and add append structure. After this is completed, now go to RSA6 and unhide the new fields added to data source. Okay, so this is our second step. So how to do this one? /n RSA6. Expand your hierarchy tree. Go to search button, 0 material underscore ATTR, search for your data source. Select this one, go to edit button. So this is whenever you add new fields via append structure to any data source, by default the added fields will be in hide state. So you need to unhide those manually like this. Okay, and uncheck this hide field. Even this one also we can uncheck. So these two are new fields to added. We unchecked these two column check boxes and then click on save button. So whenever after hiding these two buttons, you need to cross check whether these two fields are reflecting in RSA3 or not. So now next thing is, we didn't write in logic for the data extraction, but go to RSA3, check the new fields are appearing in the output structure. So now what I'm going to do, /n RSA3, I'm going to extract this data for this material. ITTR data source, 6 record scheme, go to ALV grid display, and by default, what happens, SAP shows only 50 fields of your extract structure. If it is more than 50, system will try to hide these. So you need to unhide these columns again here, but you see on the right side, at least I can see the material description, columns here, right side, bring it right side. Now you can see. If you go to the end of your output, you see there are two description columns are there. But at this point of time, there is no data. Why there is no data? Because we not yet implemented any logic to fill the information for these two columns. But at least my data source now is enhanced with two fields. But now I need to take care of how to fill this one now. Okay. So now after completing this step, what is the next step? So next step is um, writing the logic in the enhance in the exit. Okay, so now this is the part where we are going to it's a difficult part little bit. So in in the R3 or S4 system, if you want to enhance the existing data source, so what happens is you need to go to the T code called cmod /n/cmod. Okay, in the cmod there are some exits which we use to enhance. We need to write code there. Then it is the data will be populated at runtime here. So now where exactly in the cmod we need to write? In the cmod there, if it is an existing project, they already created some some project with the required exit, but as this was a very new system, so I created a new project gbw. I'm going to change of this one here. You need under the component section, you see we need to add this particular rsap 0001. Okay, this was the enhancement that you need to add in your project. Okay, so if it's your established project, they already implemented this. Simply try to go to the corresponding project and go to display button. There you can see the this enhancement component. So under this enhancement, since it is a new system, as of now this particular one is not yet active. I'm activating this component. Now when we have green, it is activated, and from here we need to go to the first one, double click on it. So if you see here, data source update mode, yeah, this one. So mainly basically we use two. This is the first one, this is second one. So what is one and two? The second one is for the master data. The first one is for the transactional data. Okay. So how I am telling second one is master data, you see here I underscore CHAPSNM means a characteristic info objects. Okay. For info objects master data, not for info objects, but for the master data enhancements, we must use the second one, not the first one. Okay. So I came to second one and then double click on this U02, double click on it. So when you double click on it, you see there is a yellow line came on the bottom. Because first time I am doing this one, it will come like this, press enter. Okay, if you press enter, then it will ask to create this include, click on S button. Since I am doing this very first time in the system, I got that yellow one. But if it is already, you have this created in your system, directly it will go to your include. Okay, click on activate button. So I'm activating my include. So here I need to write my code. Okay, so why I need to write your code? Put a breakpoint here and then activate. Okay, so why I am writing my code here? What is the reason behind it? To explain that point, now I am going to /n RSA3. In the RSA3, I am doing extraction. Okay, so when I am doing extraction, you see my cursor came, my execution came to here and stopped here because I given breakpoint. Okay, so what exactly happening? So we need to understand how exactly enhancements works in R3 system. Enhancements. So what will happen is, what is enhancement? I said addition of extra fields to the standard data source, correct? Or custom also, whatever it may be. So the enhancement means addition of extra fields, right? It means when you do the RSA3 extraction, when you perform the RSA3 extraction, what this extraction will do is it will first fetch the data for the standard already given fields in the data source. So first, there are two steps it will happen. First step is filling data to the um, you know data source fields. Data source extract structure fields. Okay. As a second step, it will fill data for the custom added fields. So custom added fields is nothing but the append structure which we created, right? That one. So SAP first will fills the data for the standard fields with the data source, which is part of real, extract structure. And secondly, it will look for the logic to fill the customly added fields, like the fields which we added using append structure. So in order to fill data for this custom added fields, system comes to this exit, which we are writing currently here. Okay, so system for each and every data source, system comes here and check whether anything was implemented for this data source or not. If it is implemented logic, then it will execute, or else it will come out of it. Any extraction you do in ACC, definitely it will come to this point to check whether is there any enhancement written for the data source or not. If it is not written, simply it will ignore. If it is written, then what will happen? It will perform the data source. So how system get to know whether there is an implementation written for the data source or not? Okay, so system cannot know it automatically. We need to tell it. So how we will, you see, before I'm going to this include, here in this particular exit, there are some importing parameters. So it is just like function module. So before learning this particular enhancement concept, I already teach you a function module concept. In the function module, we seen what is importing parameters, what is exporting parameters, tables and all, correct? So it follows the same function. You see, it is also looks like a function only. Okay, so this whenever SAP calls this particular exit function, it is importing the data source name, all this information here. So now using this data source name, I am going to identify whether a call happened to my data source or some other data source. So case, we need to write this statement here. Case I data source when 0 material underscore ATTR. So whenever my data source got called, so I'm keeping breakpoint here. Pretty printer, check, activate. Okay. So now I'm trying to extract one more time, data extraction one more time. 1 second. Let me close this. So now I'm doing extraction one more time. Click on data extraction. Again, every time you do extraction, system definitely goes to this exit, function exit, and check. You see, now my breakpoint is at 7th line. It means the data source call happened for 0 material ATTR. Okay, so now, but I want to show you, because whatever we are learning, we must learn it properly. So I need one more data source to be executed here. But what data source? RSF5. Let me activate another data source just to make sure we are learning this properly. 0 material. Let's go to text data source. Activate data source. Save. Then if it is activated, definitely it will be in RSA6. I can check or I can ignore it also. I can go to RSA3 and try to extract this data from this particular data source. Extraction. So extraction happened. I got 6 records. It means it not went to debugging mode. Correct? Why it not went? Because I didn't kept a breakpoint here. Now I am keeping breakpoint at case I data source side. Okay, here I am going to keep my breakpoint. Now I am extracting data from this text data source. You see, even I am extracting data from text data source also, system came to this point. Why? Because for each and every data extraction, system definitely comes to this point and check whether enhancement is there or not. So the data source current call happened to the data source 0 material text. And if I press F5, since there are no, nothing I'm checking with this data source name, it came out of the exit and simply given me output. Okay. You see, I got 6 records. Because there is no exit written for it, system doesn't taking any action. If you return some logic here, then system will fill it. So now we are going to write our logic at this point. Okay, so case I data source. So what logic I am going to write here? I need to write the logic to fill my 2 columns information. So now we are going to use our knowledge, whichever we learned so far in AppApna, that knowledge we are going to use it here. So what is that knowledge? The data. You see, there is a table section in this function module. We need to use this IT select. Okay. We need to create one work area here and some field symbols we need to create. So go to this include edit button. So create one work area data. So I'm going to create a work area called ls underscore select ls underscore data. 1 minute, I written wrongly. ls data, not this one, sorry. So I need to create a work area of a structure. Remember, this is also very important. For each and every data source enhancement, it will change a little bit. You are defining a work area ls data of type. So what type you are going to define? In order to know that, you need to go to RSA2, go to your data source, zero material underscore attr, click on display. Here you see the extract structure. It's a big concept, but very important concept, extraction. You see the extract structure, copy this extract structure name and define your work area in this format, because after extracting the data from the standard fields, it will come here. So the data source structure is always the extract structure name only, which contains our append fields also. Okay, you need to define one work area with this with your extract structure name, and then we need to define one field symbol also, fs underscore data of type your extract structure. Okay, then here in this particular section, whenever our data source is called, we need to loop to our data. So when cursor comes into this position, all the standard fields data extracted, which is extracted already, is available in one table. So what was the table name? The table is nothing but IT data. So IT data contains the data which system already extracted. Okay, so you need to loop to this IT data, assigning your field symbols. Okay, and you need to fill your extra columns. But in order to fill your extra columns, you need to bring the data, right? First of all, you need to bring data from the standard table. Select star from MAKT into table. So I can do dynamic definition here. Data lt underscore into data lt underscore MAKT for all entries in for all entries in I underscore at the data I underscore t underscore data, where so in the MAKT table, so when I am fetching data from MAKT table, I don't fetch all data. I will fetch the data which is relevant to my materials only. Correct? So I am going to use this one, where Matner is equal to at the rate I underscore t underscore data. In my data source also, if you go to the extract structure, in your extract structure also, you have a column called material. If you go here, so your structure contains material, right? So with this material, you are going to check the materials from this table. Okay, I need to cover one point, but after writing this one, I will cover that point. And so I need to put one uncondition, because this text table is a language specific table. We may get multiple records. So I am giving this, language is equal to E. Okay, that's it. So check Matner. What happened? The specific type of structure doesn't have a component called Matner. MAKT, 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 IT data. Line number 12, the specific type doesn't have a structure, therefore doesn't have a component called. Okay, okay, let it be at this point of time. For our interest in package IT data. Okay, fine. Yeah, better. Okay, at this point of time, what I'm doing, I'm not using the dynamic structure here. MAKT, type standard table of MAKT, ls underscore MAKT type. So just I want like line of LT underscore MAKT. So let's remove this dynamic convention. This, because it's taken already a lot of time, so I don't want to waste our time here. Pretty printer, check. So what exactly it is saying? MAKT is not there. Matner. Why Matner is not there? So my MAKT contains Matner field, MATNR, and my data source, GRAM material ATTR, also contains a Matner field. Matner is equal to IT data Matner. The specific field type does not contain. Okay, so now what happened here actually? So what happened here is we are referring to the for all entries in IT data. So what I said, so when the pointer, when the execution is happening, what is happening here? Uh, when we are doing the data extraction, the pointer, the cursor comes to this include. So when it is coming to this include, this IT data contains all the data which is already extracted by the data source. Okay. So this IT data contains the data structure. So what was the structure here? Because whatever data source you call, each and every call comes here, and this IT data is filled with the data that is the form of the data source output for a structure. Okay, it means this ID data is a generic structure. Okay, it is not specific to one particular structure. Whichever data source you are extracting, this ID data contains the structure of that particular data source. So we are directly referring to the this ID data, which is not correct. So what we need to do here, we need to create one local table, LT underscore data, type standard table of, because we are doing enhancement to this zero material ATTR, so we need to define this LT data with our structure. Copy like this, and then we need to LT underscore data. We need to assign IT data to this one, LT underscore data. Okay, so we need to assign LT data is equal to, because we define one table which is data coming from this IT data, and then use this LT data for writing your logic. Okay, wherever you are using IT data, just use the LT data, then it will resolve our issue. But there is other way, because this is also, I don't look which is correct. I will give you some simple way to complete this one. Okay, so now the select statement is working as expected, and then I am looping to my data set, LT data. So either I can modify LT data only. Let's use PT printer, check, activate. Okay. Now you need to write your code here. So how to write your read statement, because now this particular LT underscore MAKT contains the text information, and your LT data contains the data coming from the data source. Maybe at this point of time you cannot understand, which I can, but while doing debugging and learning this point, you will understand in better way. Okay. So one second, let me go to settings to enable my pretty printer option, like uppercase. So read table LT underscore MAKT into my work area ls underscore MAKT with the key matner is equal to ls underscore with the key matner is equal to fs data. In my field symbol I have material number. With this so if this is size sub rc is equal to 0, then I am filling with the field symbol, I am filling my gg field. Okay, MAKT is equal to ls underscore makt, my gj field makg field, this one. And so I will explain this in debugging mode. There you can understand my code clearly. Okay, so that's why I'm typing it. maktx. That's it. So you fill these two, and if so, we are writing a read statement, and in the read statement, you are updating the two columns information with the data. Okay, and finally, what you need to do at the finally, you need to assign back, because you did the changes to the local table. You need to assign back this information back to the same table, IT data. Okay, pretty printer, check, activate. Now what I will do, I will keep a breakpoint here and do extraction. Then you can learn it easily. So I am extracting my material attribute data source. I'm clicking on extraction button. So because I kept a breakpoint here, it will go. So what I said in the earlier, the data when cursor coming here, this IT data contains my 6 records. You see, as said, this IT data contains the 6 records which is extracted by SAP. And I told you here the standard fields which are part of the extract structure will be filled first. So as said, like, all fields got filled, but our newly enhanced fields not yet updated because we written the logic here. Now for these 6 fields, we are going to update, the data as per our logic. What I'm doing, I'm creating my LT data, because LT data is an internal table created with the structure of our data source. So I'm pressing F5. Since it is a zero material ATTR data source, it is going inside of this when condition. It is updating this. Currently my LT data internal table contains 0 records. We are assigning all data coming from IT data into my LT data. So using this LT data, I am bringing data from the table MAKT. So if you see now, LT MAKT contains 6 records. So when I'm bringing data from this MAKT, I am using material and language as a key. Okay, so after bringing data to my LT underscore MAKT internal table, I am looping to my LT data to fill the two new enhanced fields. In order to fill it, I need to write a read statement on the MAKT to get the description of the corresponding material, and I am updating that material information here using field symbol. So why I'm using field symbol here? Using field symbol, I can directly update the internal table. My requirement is to update the internal table columns with the information. That's why I'm using field symbol. If you use work area, then it won't, update the internal table directly. You need to write again modify statement and all. Okay, so like this, I am going to update the 6 records text information. Okay, so after finishing the 6 records text, it will come here. So at this point of time, my local table was updated with the text columns, but not the main table. You see, if I go to grid view, in the grid view, you can see my LT table. You see, this is LT data table updated with the 2 columns information. But the original table, which is IT data, still doesn't have these 2 enhanced fields information. If I'm going to IT data, you see, because the loop which I written to my internal table, I did the loop, not to the main IT data table. So for that reason, what I'm doing at the end of my code, I am refreshing the data in IT data with my LT data. Okay, whenever I do this, what will happen? Now this IT data will be overwritten with the data from LT data. Now this IT data also updated with 2 columns information. Remember, only if you update this ID data, then only your extraction will be updated with the latest information. Okay. After writing all the code, if you forgot to update this main table, then again, your data source won't bring data to the newly enhanced fields. When I press continue, it will come out of this debugging mode and go to extraction. Now go to grid display. Now go to the layout. Bring all the columns from the right hand side to left hand side. Click on OK button. You see now the 2 new enhanced fields is getting information now. So this is how to perform the extraction. The point which I forgot to teach, not forgot, but important point to remember here is, whenever you got a requirement to enhance the data source with extra fields, you must ask the business for the from which table I need to do the enhancement. These are the questions that must come to your mind. Okay, from which table I have to bring my enhanced fields. It's always not from the table, or it may be your custom fields which contains custom logic. Okay, but if you are writing some extra, adding some extra fields, there will be some logic, right? You must ask the logic. If the requirement is to fetch from the some extra from table, you need to get the table information, and along with the table information and the join key. So because in this example, I am fetching data from my MAKT table. When I am fetching data from MAKT table, I know I can use the Mara coming from data source is equal to the MAKT Mara. Okay, so I know the join condition, so I can able to fetch my data. Similarly, whenever you got this kind of requirement, you must ask them what was the table, from which table I need to bring the data, and what was the join key with the table to bring it. If you know it, it is better. If you don't know, you must take this information from the business. So this is how to perform a data source enhancement. Okay, and still, so this is the master data enhancement. Either it is a master data or it is a LIS data source, whatever it may be. The process is same. We always need to follow these. How many? 4 steps only. RSA2 extra append structure, and then RSA6 and hide the fields. RSA3 check whether the new fields are getting not populated with data, but appearing in the output structure or not. Then write your logic in the function exit. Okay, if it is master data, you must write the logic in second one, and if it is a exit 2, if it is master data, you must write logic in the exit 2. If it is a transactional data, you must write logic in the 001. Whatever may be the exit, you have to follow the same process. You need to check your the data source name, and if it is your data source, then you write code here. But the whatever code we written here, it is we can write this in a more generic way, because if multiple people working on different enhancements, writing code, two people cannot write code on the screen at the same time, because same include two people cannot open in change mode. Okay, so it creates dependency between the developments. So what to generally projects suggest is, they will remove the dependency by implementing some custom logic here. So that I will teach you tomorrow. Okay, so I'm stopping my recording so far.